Mayday! Come in! If anyone can hear me, my starship has been pulled into the anomaly. I find myself in a strange new world. It is a world with no sun, no stars. It is a world of anime. Comics. Here we go! Gaming. Movie. This world is the Rogue Planets. With your host, the Fat Mantis HD. Hello and welcome to Voice of the Fat Mantis, and this is Rogue Planet. That's right, that means it's either Wednesday or Thursday night, depending. Before we go any further and get into the hot topic, which is all the news going on with dceu, Henry Cavill, and that malicious, monster, pony soldier, treacherous, lying son of a bitch, James Gunn, I would ask you to like this video, subscribe to this channel, ring that notification bell, and keep tuning in to Rogue Planet for all the nerd news that's fit to print, including interviews, analysis, and everything nerdy. How is everybody here in the chat tonight? Looking good today. Hello, RM. RM sending me some sort of profanity. Don't know what that is, but it's awesome. Connor Hubbard, 30. Welcome in, brother. We've got Lainey. Oh, love you to pieces, darling. And we've got Shaolin Iceboxer. Good evening, my friends. He comes in here like he's the Terminator or something. Very cold. There's a good reason to be cold about this topic. Like, there's like stuff going on like we need to discuss. And so basically I'm gonna lay it down like this. And also, just guys, let you know, phone lines are open. If later on you want to call and you want to chime in, you want to put in your 2 cents. I think there's a lot of 2 senses that need to be put out there. I think we have a lot of things to discuss. But I'm going to paint you a picture. I'm going to discuss everything that's going on with the James Gunn and Henry Cavill situation. Lainey O says best intro ever. Thank you so much, Shaolin. James Gunn's killed my puppy and pissed on my cornflakes. Yes, he technically did, or did he? Which we're going to get into in just a moment. But please, when we're discussing this topic, it is all right to disagree with me. It is all right to give me hell as long as you're respectfully doing it in the chat or on call, because I want to know what you really feel. So, okay, I'm going to tell you my mindset and how I felt about this. Now, all of you have probably heard about somebody called Den of Nerds. Now, this is pure gossip. And you know that there's only one place that I actually do gossip. That's Fanboy Modeling School. That's a different podcast. That's on Monday. So normally I don't do that here on Rogue Planet, but we have to bring up Den of Nerds and what he did last week for me to explain why I'm more upset than your average bear. Right? So Den of Nerds likes to say gossip and things he's heard. He supposedly is so in tune with the industry and he has all sorts of things going on. And he claimed on Twitter that he heard James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. And someone chimed in and said, at James Gunn, and he's like, can you put this guy straight, please? And it's so strange. Here is the streamer. Streamer has less, the guy that I'm talking about, Den of Nerds, less than 200,000 followers. That's not a lot in terms of the Scooper or YouTube game. That's that's enough. You're making enough money to like be making and calling it a job, but you're still living in your mom's basement. And so James Gunn is like, yeah, sure, not true, totally false. And then they go back and forth. Denim Nerds is doubling down and even tripling down on this rumor that he's like, well, people keep telling me you don't like him. And he's like, it's not true. And he dissed him, actually. James Gunn dissed and dismissed this kid. Kid got ratioed, embarrassed, as he should. But my thought process is, why would anyone do that if it was true? So I thought, he's defending Henry Cavill and his like of Henry Cavill as a foreshadowing that he must like him and he's going to keep his job around. I don't tend to fire people I don't like. Am I right? Sheldon Iceboxer says the dceu has been incredibly unprofessional. How do you hire the man? Have him announce it, then fire him less than 2 months later. This is stupid. It gets even worse, Shaolin. I want you to think about it this way. He has him announcing stuff on Twitter. It's not a press conference. It's not at Fandom. It's not on their website. He's just dropping Twitter bombs. But both the Gal Gadot situation and the Patty Jenkins situation and this was just totally on Twitter, like as if Twitter was an official channel. Twitter is not even a water cooler. It's very unprofessional to say, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like Biden is like, the next bill we're going to pass is on Twitter first before they talk about it anywhere else. It's just bizarre, right? So it turns out in a tweet, he both first shills his own new movie that he happens to be writing. And now I want to look at the optics on this. Imagine if Kevin Feige was writing a Marvel movie and he's shilling it hard. So he's shilling his own movie that he wrote first. And then, and he goes, and then, by the way, we're not going to work with Cavill anymore. Secondary thought, I've just fired a dude over the internet. It's very unprofessional. It's a slew of unprofessionality. That's like, so the thing that makes me and helps me sleep at night is that, this hashtag fire James Gunn has been trending all over the place. People are all about that life. People love giving this guy hell. Look, we got Logie Bear in the chat just coming through. The studio's to blame. I absolutely agree, Logie, and that's what I was about to get into. I don't think that it was Gunn's doing. I think that it was David Zaslav, the new CEO and the Lord Almighty of Warner Brothers Discovery. He probably was like, I don't like these people. And if you really think about it, the DCEU has had so much drama, so much shenanigans, that if you're a businessman and you just acquired this company, you'd probably be like, what the hell did I just walk into? Just fire them and start again. And then he walks off. And the thing is that trying to hold on to the last shreds of professionality, James Gunn is taking credit for the firings because that's what you have to do when you're in charge. Your boss is like, yo, I don't like that guy over there. Fire that cleaner. And I'm like, and then you pull him in your office. You don't say, my boss doesn't like you, get out. You say, look, Joe, it's not working out, man. You're often late, take long lunches, and you're not a very good cleaner. And then you go like this. And then you look at it like you find grime on your own office. And then you fire him, and that's how you do it. Logie Beer says they told Cavill to announce his return. Yes, well, that's the first one. The old management told him to announce his return. RM says we've communicated since, and he and I are all good. And I said what I needed to say yesterday. Not sure what else you'd like me to say. Wait, what? RM, I'm sorry. I think I'm a little lost here. Oh, are you actually reading James Gunn's thing? Gunn 3 hours ago, in response to the fans saying he didn't have a heart. There we go. He says, I'm anything but cold about it. I sat down in person with Henry yesterday, and we had a very open and honest and respectful discussion. We've communicated since, and he and I are all good. And I said what I needed to say yesterday. Not sure what else you'd like me to say. And that's a bad optic right there. That is a bad optic right there. Because he's looking even more cold by that announcement. Once again, getting in trouble on Twitter. He looks like pardon my French, a fucking asshole. Yeah, you look like a fucking asshole, James Gunn, for saying that, because It just does not. It really looks like he's a cold boss. And trust me, in the history of people who have been fired from jobs that you yield millions of dollars, no one who's ever been fired is okay with it. Zero people in the history of people who have been fired from lucrative jobs are okay with it. So he's talking nonsense. And everyone who's ever worked a day job knows that. Knowing they would hire Gunn. Yeah, I mean, it is weird. Yeah, Logi's saying they told him to announce that he's Superman, knowing that new management would come and possibly change everything. Greetings and salutations, Hold Up TV. Welcome to the stream. They mismanaged the situation. I think they're still mismanaging the situation because I think that they really underestimate how fanatical Snyder Cut fans are. And to suddenly cut all this, and not just Cavill, but the entire cast, without them getting a last movie, a last hurrah, the Snyder Cut fans have long memories. Do you remember how long the Whedon cut was from the Snyder Cut? Years of them just bitching on the internet, making it trend all the time. Just bitching all the time, bitching all the time. They don't forget. And now there's a new wave of them because I wasn't part of that initial wave, and I'm part of it. And I will hashtag fire James Gunn until the day that I die. This definitely sounds like a total reboot. Of course. So they've got no. What are they doing with a no? And, I got to say this. Although a lot of people are trying to say that, and James Gunn says it, that the rumors that they were going to mix this in with the Batman is complete nonsense, and it never happened, and it never would happen, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't seem so. And think about it this way. He wants to do a young Superman. Who would he fit in with? I mean, let's get it real. Pattinson next to Henry Cavill, there's that age disparity that's just kind of weird, right? But what if he aged down Superman? It almost seems like he's writing a movie just in case he can convince the guys making the Batman to let them all become one happy family. I honestly think Guns is kind of hoping that this kind of happens because it will solve the problem of having two Batmans, which, by the way, they never should have let happen. Just like it's a mistake to have multiple Jokers, never should have allowed it to happen. They mismanage every project they touch. I honestly think they were sent by Satan to piss me the F off. Logie Beer says, I'm glad to hear he is working on a Superman film. I generally like Gunn films, but not sure how I feel about a younger Yeah, I don't need a Superboy. We've been there, we've done that, and quite frankly, I feel like we have yet to ever see the Superman movie we deserve. Do you guys know what I mean? If you've ever read his most epic stories or even a decent story about Superman, it's not just about saving puppies or looking good or banging Lois. There's a lot of stories about him banging Lois. It's actually about him flying out into outer space, getting captured, turned into a gladiator, fighting all sorts of guys on Warworld, destroying that planet, decimating things, teaming up with the Green Lanterns, fighting Brainiac, Mongol, a super cosmic space imp called Mr. Mizzleplex. There's a million crazy out there stories, and we have never gotten a Superman movie that's remotely worthy of what that is. And it's weird because we live in an age where movies are action movies are $200 plus million. They have the budget. They have the creativity because the stories are already basically written for them. So what are they waiting for? I'm sick of seeing Clark Kent hanging out with Pa Kent on a goddamn Kansas farm. If I wanted to go play grab ass with some farmer, I'd go out to Kansas and go to a Trump rally. I mean, come on, bro. Yeah, that was very prepared by HR statement. Absolutely. That statement doesn't even sound like James Gunn. Any of those words are in his vocabulary. He wouldn't know how to write a letter like that if his life depended on it. I'm totally fine with as many Batman and Jokers as they can pump out. I mean, it has not been a successful thing. And so what it is when people are like, well, Joker made $1 billion. Yeah, that's the one movie. Here's the difference. Marvel's model is banging out multiple $1 billion pictures. Warner Brothers is literally lucky when they get $1 billion hit. People are all talking about, they're like, oh, the Batman was a success. Yeah, it was a success. No, it wasn't. It made on par with Thor and it cost the same amount of money. Thor 4 and then made about the same money. I think actually Batman made a few more million. I think it made 780 and I believe Thor made 770 like 4 or something. Basically what I'm saying is that's not the $1 billion hit that they wanted either. It's definitely an improvement on the crap totals they have been collecting. But it was not the $1 billion hit. Some people are trying to say that, like, oh, well, it works. It doesn't actually work. It's not that successful if Joker is the only $1 billion hit you've had in a decade of movies. So actually, that's not true. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take that back right now. Aquaman and Joker are the only $1 billion hits they've had in a decade. People are like, yo, Wonder Woman in 800 millions. That's good. Not a billion. Not a freaking billion. A Superboy movie would be great. So as long as it's a 90s Superboy with and like I said, with an exaggerated crotch bulge. The people have spoken, and apparently that is what the people want. The bulge is in. I'm fine with bulges. There can be as many bulges as they are, as long as they sell tickets. As long as he keeps those underoos on. I'll tell you what, though. Gunn would be the perfect guy for a Mr. Mistleplex. At least give him that. Here's what there are some gritty stories. I could see him doing Mr. Mizzleplex. I could see him doing Metallo. I've always wanted Superman to fight the Superman Revenge Squad. And so that's Bizarro, Metallo, Maxima, and I think there's like 1 or 2 other members of just like, you know, his garbage version of villains teaming up to get him. You know, but I would like to see him in a harder than usual situation. They seem to be unable to get him off the farm. He's just some simple farmer in their eyes. They can't see anything else. They're like, he's a frat boy who grew up on a farm, so he has the Methodist sensibilities. I'm like, okay, what else? What else? Because the real Superman, if you're into Superman, he's flying through the galaxy, murdering planets in the name of like truth, justice, and the American way. We need more crotch bulges in action films. The ladies have their push-up action bras. What about the fellas? Well, I gotta say, wasn't there some sort of drama about the Namor situation? Didn't Namor in the latest Black Panther? I forget. Did they increase his bulge or reduce it? I'm not sure what it was. The Namor crotch bulge was fake. Oh, okay. That was a fake story. That was right. There was something going on there. It was a fake issue. Okay. Here's what I'm saying. All the crotch bulges, I vote yes on crotch bulges. Not that that's what I want to see, but as long as he's flying through space like a maniac, I'm into it. Now, another thing that doesn't make sense about what they've done, they really have mismanaged all of this. For example, they have already publicly stated as a company, people are like, why don't you just get rid of the Flash movie, cash that in? And they're like, that's too big to get a tax break. We can do tax write-offs for things like Batgirl, but we can't do things for the Flash. So we need to find a way to make money with the Flash. And that makes sense. And they're like, we know that the star of the Flash, Ezra Miller, is a cult leader, psychopath, child abducting weirdo, right? And a groomer. The problem is they have already filmed this movie and it's like 90% done. They need to make money off of it, right? But the problem is that what James Gunn has done is now made it impossible to make money. There are now 3 movies that they can't make any good box office off of anymore. Any potential, I know the potential was low for one of these movies, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom, and The Flash, now that they're movies that lead to nowhere and they're not going to continue, there is no point in watching them. They have literally shot themselves in the foot. So instead of sacrificing 1 movie, they're sacrificing 3 movies and the potential box office of any future Superman. Because I got to tell you, people are mad, and I know how the executive thinks. The executive goes, whatever, we'll kill their Superman. We'll replace their Superman. They'll watch whatever we tell them. We'll make a new Superman, and they'll watch it. because they're such simps, and they show up to any superhero movie we say. Now, here's the thing: if that was true, then why does Warner Brothers fail to make money at the box office all the time? Clearly, people aren't going to watch anything you put out there. That's a complete misconception that we will do whatever they say. And like I said, Snyder fans have a long memory. And when Superboy, the edgy Superboy movie comes out, they are going to remember that. And they were once people who had bought a ticket to Superman. They're not going to buy the ticket. You've just alienated a chunk of fans. By making more issue around this thing, they make it harder to make money off of the brand. You're right, brother. I think they should take him off Earth in this new movie. No Metropolis, no Smallville, no Lois. Something fresh. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. One thing that really ticked me off, and this is like an older movie, and I don't think a lot of people like it anyway. But what is Superman Returns? Now, I know obviously similar to Patty Jenkins, misguided Wonder Woman 1984, Superman Returns was supposed to be like an homage to old school superhero movies, so it was like stupid. But they have this storyline where Superman was away at space for years, and then he's returned. And then they make the movie an exact replica ripoff of the first movie, the Richard Donner movie. And I'm like, the cool part about that movie would have been Superman in space. They have a thing where they keep saying, he's like, I went to go look for the remains of Krypton, and I found it destroyed. It's true. I am the last of my people. And I was like, you should have shown us that adventure. If it took him a few years, he probably had a few adventures, right? Crazy adventures. That they missed the good part of the movie. Rogue Radio, what up? Welcome to the stream. We are talking about Henry Cavill and the evil that is the DCEU and James Gunn. What did you think of Brightburn? So Izzy, what up? I did enjoy Brightburn. I do enjoy Brightburn as like an Elseworld story, as evil young Superman, which is also another thing that's making me worry. Okay, and so let's put it like this: he did Brightburn, which for those of you who don't know is a horror movie about Kansas farmers who find a little boy who has the powers of Superman, and they raise him as his own, but he's actually evil. Instead of being a beacon of good, he's a beacon of evil. It's like a what if story. Superman was evil, right? And it's fun. It's a good time. He's able to kill people with superpowers in crazy ways. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a watch. And so the problem is Kevin Gunn has a problem repeating himself. He has like 3 notes and that's it. And an example of this is, and everyone talks about this, Suicide Squad 2 was a great movie. Wonderful, wonderful movie, right? In it, it's about space aliens that take over people's brains and control them. And then he takes one of the characters. He's like, I'm going to do a spin-off show, Peacemaker. And in it, it's about aliens who come down and have the power to take over people's minds and control them. And it's essentially the same thing, which is also a ripoff of one of his old movies, Slither. Now, Slither was body horror, but it also had this aspect of aliens being able to have like a little slug go up your nose and take over you. And so I'm wondering, is he going to give us another Brightburn? Do I want to see another Brightburn? Is this going to be Brightburn Light? Because I'm not excited about that. What did you think? Yeah, no, I love Brightburn. Superman Returns was just a retort of Superman 1. Yeah, it absolutely was. Literally down to framing. Yeah, reshoot. Yeah, it absolutely was. Down to the framing, it was just the original Superman, and it was just like, why am I watching this? Even down to the plot. The plot was the same when they were like, it was a land deal that Lex Luthor was trying to scam so he could create his own nation. Luthor's still surrounding him with tards. Himself with tards. That's another thing. Can we get off Lex Luthor? That's why I was fine with this series going on. I know that Zack Snyder totally torpedoed Lex Luthor. That Lex Luthor will never be cool. I dig it. I understand that. But the thing is that Superman has so many wonderful villains. They could do 5 more episodes of him fighting other villains. We would never have to see Lex Luthor again, and I would be totally happy. Shaolin Iceboxer says the most interesting part of the movie, and they cut it. Yeah, that's just what's going on. Didn't we have a love child in that one? Yes, that's how it kind of differed from the first one. It was like he got Lois pregnant or whatever. And somehow Superman can lift an entire island made of kryptonite. Yeah, I mean it's been a while since I've actually seen that movie, but you're right. Yeah, he lifts it, but isn't that the thing that kills him? He's like flying it up to space, and then he's like, oh, and we were about to see space. We're like, oh, we're gonna see space, and then he falls back down to Earth, and I was like, I didn't get to see space. Thank you for that. Thank you, Brian Singer, for another stinktacular movie. The new Superman is gonna be about robots that take over our brains. If he does that, I will lose my mind. Okay, we deserve better. We absolutely deserve better. This is what the man is saying. And I'm kind of sick of it. So I here's what it is. Some people are very excited that James Gunn is doing Superman. I am not so confident it's going to be wonderful. But that's where I'm at right now. Lex is his arch enemy, yes. And so and hello, Connor Hubbard. Welcome back. I saw you there earlier. Izzy says Lex Luthor is his arch nemesis at this point. Lex Luthor is absolutely his arch nemesis. However, I would argue you don't have to have every movie with the arch nemesis. Like, I think that was a failing of the X-Men movies. In the X-Men movies, they had to have every movie feature Magneto. And sometimes the plot would get crazy trying to put Magneto into this thing. And it makes no sense. I think they should have had Magneto like every other movie, maybe. But the X-Men are cool when they're fighting other villains. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid and I started reading X-Men comics, Magneto wasn't even a villain at that time. He wasn't a big villain. He was like an old school villain, and you'd have to read back issues to read stories about Magneto. People were over Magneto, and they were on to Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse and the Shi'ar Empire and all that stuff. Magneto had nothing to do with anything in the real heyday of X-Men. Logie Bear says Luthor would be more fun, a puppeteer style villain in the background manipulating. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they really dropped that ball with Batman v Superman, but we could talk about that for days. But yeah, he should have been manipulative and not caught so easily in Batman v Superman. And then he says he bangs Lois and then bails. I still say Man of Steel should have been Brainiac. The setup was right there. Rookie Superman should never be taking on 3 other Kryptonians. Oh yeah, no, that was crazy. But at least they had a gimmick on how they beat them. Because remember, the gimmick was they're like, well, we have the Phantom Zone thing, and we could just suck them all into the Phantom Zone. And so I do love that he's losing the entire film until they suck him in, and then it's just him and Zod. I do like Man of Steel. I admit it's not the greatest movie ever made, but it's a decent origin movie. But that's what's good about the origin movie. Once it's done, we get to have fun. We get to get out there and go nuts. Now we're going back to origins. James Gunn is saying definitely not an origin film, but I don't want to see a prepubescent Superman trying to figure out his way in the world. I want a confident alpha Superman who knows what he's doing. I love it. People always love to criticize Superman because he's so strong, and they're like, he has no weaknesses. He has no weaknesses. I remember in the movie, what was it? I think it was, I don't know if this was taken from the comics because they adapted a comic that's way too old for me, but Crisis on Two Earths, the animated movie. Somebody points that out to him, and then Superman says, I go blow for blow with guys who are way stronger than me every day. And that's true. When he goes fights cosmic guys, he may lift 100 tons. They lift 500 tons, but that's the type of devastation I want to see. I want this to be the American version of Dragon Ball Z, where they're just destroying each other, you know what I mean, with their super strength. Darkseid is very close to Luthor, right? And we've seen Darkseid, even though he was only like the secondary villain in Justice League. Yeah, they went way too all in on Magneto. Yeah, I got bored with Magneto. I was like, why do you keep putting Magneto in these movies? Come on, man. Just choose another villain. I'm not as excited or confident. Also, do you not do Rogue Planet on Green Room? I haven't been doing Green Room. Yeah, Green Room kind of fell off when they stopped their creator fund, and unfortunately, and I probably shouldn't be talking about this on air, but like it chased away all like the good podcasters. And if you're on, I'm apologies, I'm not trying to insult you, but I'm saying like people who had the professional edge of podcasting, they weren't on Green Room anymore. And there are times I'd look on Green Room and I would be the only one live, and I was like, and so I just felt kind of alienated from the app, and I was just like, I got to go to greener pastures. I can't believe we haven't had a Sinister on screen. Yeah, Loki Bear. There's a lot of X-Men villains that they could have done, and that's another thing. Like, the life cycle of a superhero is like 3 episodes, maybe 4 if we're lucky, right? AJ the Rebel, what up, brother? Welcome in. 4 if we're lucky. Like, look at Thor; he's overstayed his welcome. And they really need to be not sparing, the opposite of sparing. They really need to budget their time correctly to show a good illustration of the villains. A person who didn't budget his time good is Iron Man. Iron Man has the Ironmonger in the first one. Okay, bravo. That's one of his quintessential villains. They eventually sort of have the Mandarin, not really. And they have Whiplash, but they don't have anyone else. And there are so many other top tier Iron Man villains they needed to put in these movies. Like, that's why I like the villain team up movie. Like, you could have like a movie with one villain, and then the next one could have 2 villains, and then the third one could have like 6 villains. But like I'm saying, Iron Man should have already had like MODOK and Fing Fang Foom and Mandarin and Living Lightning and the Unicorn and the Crimson Dynamo and all those guys, Stilt Man, all these guys, Titanium Man, they should all have been there already. Why they are not, I don't know. Thor barely went through his catalog of villains. It's such a disappointment. He should have had an Absorbing Man. Enchantress a long time ago. We got like a half-assed version of Enchantress. That's not Enchantress. That's not the Enchantress. But he should have had the Wrecking Crew already. You know what I mean? Like, and so I don't know what they're doing. They weren't spacing their time good. I think Captain America did a little better. But in terms of Superman, I don't want to go back to Lex Luthor. I've seen it too many times. Yeah, that's why First Class was great. It was Hellfire Club. Sebastian, yes, and that's the thing. When I didn't even know Sebastian Shaw was in the movie till I saw it. I was like, oh, they're the Hellfire Club, and that was cool. That's what you want to see as a fan. You want to see something from the page jump up in there, not just the Easter egg the way they do in like Star Wars. That's the thing about Star Wars. Star Wars, like, sometimes Star Wars just does Easter eggs for no reason. There's like no substance to the Easter egg. You know what I mean? But I want to see a good Easter. I want an Easter egg with true substance. I think Mandalorian is good with true substance Easter eggs. Logan Beer says, I want to see a true Superman origin film. Jor-El and Laura getting frisky as fuck for like an hour. And that's another thing. I gotta say that although Zack Snyder tried in Man of Steel to do Krypton, there will never be a Krypton scene like they did it in the Richard Donner. If you watch that again, if you watch the Richard Donner, Superman 1, it will bring you to tears. Marlon Brando playing Jor-El. And it's so biblical that his world is dying, and then he takes his son and he wipes the sweat off his son's head and he kisses him, and he's like, this is my only begotten son, and he's like, and he tells him to go and be a hero, and he sends him off. It's totally breathtaking, and Marlon Brando is in it for like 2 minutes and he kills it. He, like, in terms of acting, he hits a home run. It was just beautiful, and I don't think they'll ever be able to emulate that again. Rip Green Room says AJ, yeah. Izzy says, I'll beat Superman's ass. Izzy says, I like all the DC shows on Netflix, like Flash, DC, Legends of Tomorrow. Yo, I'm ready for. Here's what I'm saying. I did enjoy those, but I would like to see CW, or should I say televised DC rebooted. I want to see that rebooted, definitely. I just honestly think if you put the right directors and the right the right I gotta say it. I know I complain about the artists, the right writers, and the right directors on a Superman. Same thing with a Wonder Woman, and the same thing with the Batman movie, Batfleck. You could have the most remarkable movies ever. And Warner Brothers has not been hiring that standard. There wasn't a standard. People are like Patty Jenkins, Patty Jenkins. She had one Academy Award winning movie, and that was it. Not that she should have multiple Academy Award winning movies, but she didn't even have a long list of movies before she did Wonder Woman. I think she did 2 movies, and one of them won an Academy Award. But she was not proven. She was not a proven element. But I'm saying they need to take like a proven element person with vision and give them that. And I just feel like that's what the DCEU needed. Will it save it? Maybe it won't. But I think they needed a send off. I think the Man of Steel was not given a chance to have his Wrath of Khan. Everyone should have the Wrath of Khan. You know. For those of you who know what that's all about. The CW shows are trash. As long as we get as far away from that crap, I'll be okay, says Logie Bear. Iron Man screwed up the Mandarin. They really did. And it's crazy that they had a movie like Shang-Chi try to correct the Mandarin. And I'm like, that should have happened in an Iron Man movie. I like their attempt at retconning. It was a kind of an attempt, but once again, I feel audience members get frustrated when a story gets too complicated. It's so funny that people have to keep being reminded of the following statement: keep it simple, stupid, right? And they forget that. And Zack Snyder's a master of not keeping it simple. He's always making it too complicated. Now that you think about the Mandarin, like half of it doesn't make any sense, and it's like, what? I like the CW shows because it wasn't the same shit over and over again. I mean, I liked them at first. I admitted they were low budget. Sometimes it's like a kung fu movie. You want that low budget fun. Would you come back for Denzel Washington as Lex Luthor? Okay, so we've talked about this. I am not as irked at racial bending as other people are, and I don't believe that like whiteness is attributed to Lex Luthor. I think he can be a brother, and I would be fine with it. I know a lot of people would not, though. If I have to see C-3PO or R2D2 in another series, says Logie Bear, yes, Logie Bear, you're absolutely right. That's an example. I know you were referencing what I was saying, how Star Wars sometimes has really unauthentic Easter eggs. They're like, let's just have a Jedi walk by. Are there any Jedis alive? And then they're like, I'm not sure. Just like an Obi-Wan, they were just like, we need some Inquisitors in there. And they didn't bother to research who the Inquisitors were. They just were like, dress up in black. These guys are Inquisitors. Does Superman have a lot of love interest other than... So Maxima. So here's an interesting villain archetype that almost every hero has that the movies almost never use. And it is the scorned lover of our heroes. Now, we know our heroes are super macho men. They're alphas, right? So they get around, right? And so Superman's is Maxima. Maxima is the telepathic and telekinetic queen of an alien warlike world. And when she sees Superman adventuring and like being a warlord on a planet, she's like, I have to have him. And so depending on which writer has it, he has an affair with her. And then later on, he's like, wait a minute, you're a maniac. I can't be with you. I'm a simple Kansas boy. And then she is the jilted lover. And her thing is like, now I must destroy him. And I love that element. And I don't understand why they do not put this type of character into... Thor had Enchantress, which is a similar story, right? He used to bang Enchantress until he realized she was evil, and then he was out. Obviously different story, but Batman gets it. He gets his Catwoman, but the femme fatale character it would make a great story. And so why not a story with Maxima? Here's the thing. I don't think Maxima, if she's in a movie, I don't think she should be the sole villain for Superman, but I think it would be a cool story to add on. But once again, because people are so like locked into the classicness of Superman, they cannot get over Lois Lane. And so, of course, he had Lana Lang when he was in high school, right? So there's Lana Lang, Lois Lane, Maxima. I think are his big three like chicks. I wouldn't be surprised if there are others, but yeah, why not? Why not do other stories than just Superman? You know, they should have a title of an episode or a movie called "Superman Loves Lois" because that's how cheesy it's getting. I'm still waiting for Static Shock, says Izzy. Oh, yo, are they really gonna make it? Who knows? I mean, Warner Brothers is in really bad state right now. Who knows if any of those things are gonna be made? Monster's pretty overrated. I do like Monster. It is a good movie. I don't know if it should prove that someone's worthy enough to direct an action superhero movie. That's the bizarre connection I have. Ride to Fight says, hello, Mantis Spooner. Lefty Lucy, what up, Lefty? How are you, brother? We are talking, obviously Henry Cavill, all the news. It's destroying me inside and out. I feel thank you for agreeing, Connor. Former Spooner, rather, yeah. But yeah, Izzy, in the chat, Ride to Fight has a question for you. Shaolin says, I mean, CW was great for the first 3 or 4 years. I absolutely agree. It just got too bloated and big and crazy. I admit it was low budget, but it was a good time. Originally from Southie Boston, says Ride. AJ says, give me those low budget, cheap thrills. Yes. Bryce Dallas Howard is very solid director. If they want to give Wonder Woman another woman director, she'd be the first choice. And not only that, that's the one. Oh, star. I'm giving you the star of the night, RM. That's the statement. Because I've been thinking about it. Because I know, here's the thing. I know politics. The Wonder Woman people are gonna want a woman director. They're not gonna let a man come in and direct it. It will have bad optics. But she's good. But another thing, and I know this sounds horrible. Another thing she's good at, she will follow directions. She will take directions from producers. If they're like, "Can you make this a little more mainstream?" She'll do it. She's not gonna have a fight and be like, "No, the elves have to be blue. Damn it." I'm in. Logan Bear says, if Superman existed, he would be putting that super dong in everything. There'd be super boys and super girls flying all over the place. I do feel you on that. And I think that's why the story had to have him raised in Kansas by some very, salt of the earth Methodists. Because if he was raised Catholic, the world would be in flames. I hope I didn't offend anybody. Maxima is good dynamic for Superman. I'd love that. Yeah, and that's another thing. I love that she's a cosmic villain. She's off in space, and so that's I want to put him in space as much as possible. Maybe he fights Mongol or something. They could have other villains, even earthly villains, like, maybe they make Metallo or something. Maybe Brainiac collects a group of villains to fight him or something. It could be anything. But there are he has a great rogues gallery, and they just never gave him a shot. And it's annoying me, and I do not want to see Brightburn light. Yeah, on that, I love Zendaya. But I want to see Tom Holland move into Felicia Hardy. Would be down for that. So here's my theory about Spider-Man. It's impossible to talk superheroes nowadays without talking about MCU. Am I right? It's weird like that. But because it's weird. I didn't know that people had different interpretations of this. So I was just wondering where you guys landed on this. So with Spider-Man, I interpreted the end of No Way Home that it's a back to basics. That in the next episode, he's going to be single Without Aunt May, without team backup, without assistance, without gadgets, anything he makes, he has to make on his own. And he's going to be, he's going to be working 3 jobs to maintain New York City rent. And he's going to be sewing his own costumes and probably hooking up with Black Cat. I think that getting rid of Mary Jane in that way was so good, because it's like you want them to be together and maybe they will be together, but magic has made it impossible. And so it's neither of their faults. It's not like you have them cheating or something and they break up. It's like a magic force is preventing them from loving each other. And he's like, well, I might as well play the field while I'm waiting for her to wake up. Have you ever seen Smallville? Connor, let me tell you, when I was younger, I used to live and breathe Smallville, man. I used to love it because back in those days, there wasn't a lot of superhero content in live action. That was the only type of stuff you could get, man. And I would eat it up with a spoon. And what problem with Smallville, obviously, is they never fully went there. They tease about going there. They're like, he flew, but when he was unconscious last episode, and he flew. Maybe he'll learn to fly this season. Nope, that was just tease. They're like, Bizarro's here, and Bizarro for a second looks like his deformed self, and then he just turns into a duplicate of him. And I'm like, no. Yeah, it is good to see you, Lefty. It is absolutely good to see you, man. But yeah, my interpretation is that they have freed up the sex life or dating life, sorry, guys, to get raunchy, of Spider-Man. So Tom Holland Spider-Man in this new trilogy. My guess is that he's going to be spending this trilogy trying to get Zendaya to wake up or come back, his friends to come back, and they probably won't come back until the second or third part of the new trilogy. So they're going to give him some time to play the field and stuff. And I'm all about that. In my opinion, Smallville was the best Superman of all time. Oh, wow. Okay. Even better than like comic book Superman, or are you saying adaptation? Yeah, Ron Howard is another director who follows what the studio wants and delivers. Bryce is an example of nepotism done right. Yes. If you see her at press events for The Mandalorian, like they'll be at Disney and she'll make sure to wear a Disney shirt. And like, you know what I'm saying? And she's always like, if you see her in Behind the Magic and all these documentaries or whatever, she's always just making sure that she's like a perfect representation of what someone you'd think works at Disney at Lucasfilm should be. And yeah, I know she's wonderful. She's amazing. I love her. Who else thinks we need a live action Quagmire film? Quagmire from Family Guy? I bet he will get with Felicia Hardy now that the world has forgotten him. Yes, I think so. I think this is perfect to open up those floodgates. He can get crazy. He can explore things. Yeah, it's a chance to explore other things. He'll be able to make other friends and do other things, and without that dead weight. And I think during this process, I'm assuming at some point, I mean, they have 3 movies. They can now do villains that aren't like less popular villains. And I hope Hobgoblin is one of them. I hope his friend turns into the Hobgoblin. And I have a further theory about that one. That movie made almost 2 billion. Crazy. You're saying No Way Home. Yeah, no, I think No Way Home, right? Really excited about the second Into the Spider-Verse. I am excited about that one. It's funny. I understand why people say, I did agree with Steve. I was like, it's underwhelming. I do think it's underwhelming, but I like the property so much. I don't need a flashy trailer to go back to the theaters to see it. Smallville just got ridiculous, though. Why the hell is he fighting Doomsday and meeting all these superheroes, and he shouldn't be around yet? Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like Gotham. Remember Gotham? Like every supervillain that ever existed in Batman's Rogue Gallery was like fighting Commissioner Gordon before he was like a lieutenant. Smallville gave everyone trust issues. Yes. Yeah, you think they're going to provide, they're going to represent, but they just don't. They're just withholding, just like my mother. Gotham was like that too, but better. Yeah, it was definitely. Here's what it was. It definitely they used the Smallville formula. They just weren't as much of a tease as Smallville. Smallville was the ultimate tease. They never let you get anything, man. It was nuts. Well, duh, says Laney. Smallville was just plain stupid. It was 90210 with Superman. That's what made it cool. I like 90210, and I like me my Superman with a little CW. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm into that stuff. I'm into that campy, stupid stuff. As long as they know what they are. And so the question is, what are we going to get in this new Superman? What are we expecting? I'm worried that it's going to be bright burn light. And I feel like these Justice Leaguers weren't done justice. They weren't given enough of their own chance to blossom. Poor Wonder Woman gets a sequel, and it was 1984. Are you kidding me? Like, the creator of Wonder Woman is rolling around in his grave right now. I hope you realize this. Superman doesn't even get a sequel. Batfleck doesn't even get one movie. Although that's kind of Batfleck's movie problem. I have a theory that Batfleck or Ben Affleck might be kind of sort of in a way responsible for the current state of affairs at DC. Who thought that the Dreamstone was a good idea? So is Superman going to be the center of this reboot? He hasn't made anything clear. He said in the start of next year he's going to let us know. I'm assuming actually before he did tweet and he said, people are like, are you making any plans for Superman? This is before the Henry Cavill news, and he tweeted. He said he is our top priority. Superman as a character in his franchise is the top priority. But like, what are they going to do with Batman? Are they going to have two Batmans? Are we getting a rebooted Batman? Is it going to be the Batman and then some other dude? I honestly think he might be buying time. I do think he's trying. And the whole idea is that the theory, or at least this is what the Variety said, that, and you can only take trades for a grain of salt because of lack of stories, the trades will publish stories that are just hearsay and rumor. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, they were fact checked hard, and nowadays they're just like not. But the theory is that one of James Gunn's idea was like, he's like, we're going to reboot it all around the Batman. And the rumor is that Matt Reeves was like, no, you're not. That's not happening. Not my Batman. I'm an artiste. Which is just stupid. Because you're not an artiste. You're somebody who mimicked Seven. You ripped off Seven. You didn't make your own thing. The writer of the film deserves a swift groin kick. RM says, I'm so sick of how fractured the DCU is. I'm not going to care about an Elsewhere's quirky yet grimdark James Gunn Superman. Yeah, I that's what I'm saying. For me to truly care about these things, I need them connected. And if somebody was going to be like, well, I have my own vision of Aquaman, and someone else is like, well, I have my own vision of Booster Gold, and it's not in your universe. It's in his own Booster Gold universe. I don't need that, man. Just tell me the story of the DC of a DCU. We'll have the Batman and a Batman. Somebody was suggesting that they're going to try to make Superman super realistic, and they're going to call him the Superman. Matt Reeves is a great director, but he's not as great as he thinks. I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think I would have just told him. I wouldn't have been straight up with him. I would have been like, we need this to happen and you work for me. And we cannot greenlight Batman 2 if you prefer. Because I'm sure Pattinson wants to work. Aren't we getting oh right. I didn't even think about that. That's so crazy. They released the poster just the other day of Blue Beetle. They released a Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was originally it's like a low budget Blue Beetle movie. They were going to put that out on HBO Max directly. Now it's going to be in theaters. They just released a trailer for it. They added a couple of more monies to it. Like they threw them some more money for better special effects. The question is, where is that going? That's going to be a dead end film, isn't it? This poor actor. And so it's I think about it this way. The actors of Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, whoever their actors are, they keep switching in and out who's actually in the film with them. And the Flash, who cares about those guys? They're vile. And Blue Beetle, or think of them as astronauts. They're astronauts who are in deep space and they need a rescue, and NASA has just sent them a message saying, we're not coming for you. Say whatever you will about the MCU, but connecting the stories the way they did, though, through Endgame, it made it feel a lot more interesting and made it, as in very invested. Yes, so invested. I really think some people applaud the WB for doing its own thing, and I'm like, it wasn't successful, and it led to this. So I would have rather you mimicked or copied the MCU more, so that we could, yeah, I think if they had copied that thing, I know it's not cool to copy, man. It's not cool, but we'd at least have our movies, right? So here's my Ben Affleck theory. So Ben Affleck was having problems with his woman, right? Sorry, guys, those technicals. He was having problems with his woman. Goes back to the sauce. He's a drinker, right? He's drinking that bottle. He's got that hooch. And it gets so bad, he had written a Batman movie for himself. He had written one he was going to direct. And then he's like, because of my drinking and my wife and all this stuff, I can't direct, but my script and will still be it. And they're like, fine. And they go and get Matt Reeves. And then after that, he's like, you know what? I need to step back from everything. I'm not even going to be in my own movie. And then, Matt Reeves is like, well, if he's not going to be in it, can I rewrite it? And they're like, yeah, you can rewrite it. And so it totally changes. It starts from scratch, does it over. And originally they were still thinking, up until the production, when they started filming, at first there was actually thought that they were going to make it a prequel to Batfleck. But Matt Reeves kept being like, no, I don't want this to be connected with him, man. I don't want to. And finally they're like, you know what? Do it. We're sick of DCEU. You're your own thing. And so I feel like if that didn't happen, and trust me, one of the things that's making the DCU harder to come back is because of the fractured universe. Because here's what it is. If you didn't have to worry about Batman, a successful Batman movie, you could just reboot whatever you wanted. But the problem is, are you going to alienate Reeves fans now, the Batman fans, by rebooting that? Now, I would be fine if it rebooted. I'd be super happy. I don't like those bums anyway. But I can see why somebody's like, well, this movie made more money than most of you guys, so I don't want to reboot it. I feel that. But it certainly made things more difficult. But if Batfleck had stayed in the game, he could have at least made sure that was a prequel and it would be connected. They did a solid job connecting things through Endgame, but now we see what happens when it goes bad. Phase 4 is horrible. They just got lazy on Phase 4. I don't think it has to do with connectivity was the problem. I think they just got extremely lazy. They took for granted all the success they had. And so they put no effort, like literally no effort in She-Hulk, and not a lot of effort in a lot of other things. Certainly not the movies. Say whatever you will about the MCU, but connect. Oh, that's she said that. Well, and the films outside of the universe tend to be better. I'm sorry, but like I like the Joker, but that is not like a movie that can connect with other movies, and that was an interesting movie based off the Joker, but that's not the Joker. And I would even argue that's barely Batman. in the Batman. And so if I mean, if the argument is like they're like, well, we'll make movies based off of it. Well, I don't want to see that either. Joker and the Batman are definitely better than most of the DCEU. I know a lot of people who say that are into that thing. I'm not sure, like, yeah. He says I don't really see Joker. Yeah, it's not really the Joker. It is the Joker, but it's not. It's loosely based off of the Joker. But if he was restricted into the story of the Joker, they couldn't do what they did. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really nervous about this sequel, man. What is going on with the sequel? Singing, singing for real? It's more of an interpretation. Yes, it's more of a what if the Batman was real? Yeah, I for a while had a theory that the Joker and the Batman were going to be in the same universe, that they were going to connect them, and that would be like the gritty verse. That would be pretty interesting if they could connect them. But I am a little scared of superheroes entering the Joker world. Like, how would it work? Like, could you have a Batman run up on the Joker and fight him? Like, I feel like that would detract from what we got, right? I wasn't a huge I was actually a huge hater of the Joker and the Batman. Kind of wish that scene was removed. I'm glad the longer scene was taken out from the Batman of the Joker. That whole like deformed Joker thing is just, some interpretations are just not I don't know how to finish my sentence. It's just nuts. Yeah. Um but I am worried about this incredibly serious tone they have for the Batman. And I'm telling you guys, I have a bad feeling about any more of the Batmans. I don't think Matt Reeves is a genius. I don't think he always hits the nail on the head. And I have a feeling that it's possible that when he tries to make like Mr. Freeze realistic, it's gonna fail. Loki says, "Yeah, it was so badly done. It was really badly done. They got a guy who like isn't funny, and I'm not sure the appeal, and he's just so deformed that like you don't want to look at him." And I'm like, "What is this? What is this information?" Loki says, "Yeah, Mr. Freeze is a bad idea." And so that's the question he has to ask himself: is he willing to go superhero? Because I think you have to have like supernatural stuff going on if you're going to have Mr. Freeze, right? Well, and his deformity looked really bad. Like it looked like a cheap mask. Yeah, and that was the thing. He thought that, here's what I think he was thinking, that because we never got a clear shot of him, because he's behind the bars, he's kind of in the dark and like all these things, that we couldn't tell the bad makeup they put on the dude. And also, especially that scene when he goes and visits him, it's even more evident. Like what the bad that was like, yeah. I really can't believe people want Mr. Freeze in the Batman. That's one of the worst choices. He's too fantasy. It needs to be the Court of Owls. I mean, yeah, we'll see what they do. Um, just like we were saying, the Joker isn't the Joker in the Joker. I would say that the Riddler is not the Riddler in the Batman. He's like a mix of several villains. He says, "I'm still not interested in a sequel, though. You know how much I hated the Batman." Yeah, I mean, I have not been saying kind things about the Batman. Like I said, I understand why certain people are like or fan that series, but it's not my Batman. That's not. I don't believe that's accurate Batman. And so, and I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to tell you about the politics. As long as, before we finish thing, I wanted to rant and rave about the politics of people who really wanted the Snyderverse to go away, because there were people, particularly content creators, who are claiming this. They're like, they want to destroy, there are plenty of us who want to destroy the Snyder Cut. Here's what it is. When there are two different versions of a character, people get worried. And people who love the Batman will do anything to destroy the Snyderverse because they're worried if there's two Batmen, that what if people like this other Batman better? It's going to get rid of Reeves's dreams. And so they want to defend this thing so badly. It's like it's inconceivable that that's the choice. Logie Bear, thank you so much for the bits. That means a lot over on Twitch. That means a lot. They should reboot the Batman in the sequel. Wait, what? Like, wait, reboot the character of the Batman? Rebuke says get him. Yes, so these people, their politics. Some people are like, well, what is their agenda? Why are they preaching the death of the Snyderverse? It's because they want this new Reeves verse to be a thing. But you know what? And so imagine the hyper realistic nature of the Batman. Imagine if it applied to every Justice Leaguer. Imagine how horrible Superman would be in a super realistic environment, or Wonder Woman, or Martian Manhunter, or Green Lantern. It goes on and on. We can't even envision Mr. Freeze as super realistic. And it's deranged. It's utterly deranged. Anti-Snyder folks are all socialists, says Logie Bears. Yes, I'm going to star that as well. Boom. Get up there. So Rebuke says so and so said that fans just don't understand show business. I think show business is just mad that fans can now impact them. Absolutely. So the person you just mentioned is old school, and it's so funny. They're like a champagne socialist. They pretend to be a leftist, that person that you just mentioned. But they really are, they're old school money. They're the east side of New York, not the west side of New York. And they're like, and they want to defend studios and studio execs and the old way of business, and blacklisting people and abusing people and casting couches. And if you don't believe me, that person you just said, I know a video where they defend casting couches. Yes, believe it or not, the feminist defending casting couches. So they want this old school thing, and they like it. They want this old school stuff to, and they hate the idea that there's these Snyder fans out here who, through the power of tweeting and social media, they can now control the business. And it's clear that David Zaslav, the new ruler of Warner Brothers Discovery, he's old school. And he doesn't understand when he ordered, and I'm pretty sure he ordered, I have no proof that he did, but when he ordered James Gunn to tell, he's like, get rid of Cavill, get rid of them all, they're a headache. He had no idea of the firestorm that he's going to bring about him. He doesn't realize that he gave an unpopular order that back in the day, we had to take what Hollywood gave us. Now we don't have to buy tickets. And I think they think that we're addicted and we'll watch anything. We will not watch anything. We're turning on Marvel. We have turned on Warner Brothers a long time ago. And so trust me, if they really make a stupid, subpar new Superman that doesn't look like it's worthy of Henry Cavill, the fans will not pay. They will not show up. You will have wasted your time at a reboot. And people like this old schooler that Rebuke just brought up, they're like rolling in their grave. Well, not their graves. They're not dead yet, unfortunately. They're rolling in their beds at night being like, the fans have a say. They actually hate democracy, and they hate freedom of speech, and they hate people being free. Matt Reeves made a Last Jedi version of the Batman. He's a deconstruction of the character, but it would have worked much better if the movie didn't fail in the last half an hour. So I totally think that like the movie would be exponentially better. I said it, exponentially better, if the last 30 minutes of the Batman wasn't there. If it had just concluded with the murder wrap up, it would be a way more solid movie. And then they did that Madison Square Garden thing and the incel army, and Batman's suddenly a ninja and he's like fighting people when he wasn't like that before. And he's throwing his bat thing to cut wires and save the people. I was like, this is a completely different movie. Like casting couches on the hub? Yeah, casting couches. Yeah, this person has defended that old school Hollywood thing of like, none of this is gonna matter once it's also the Universal and it's rebooted again. Um, I mean, if that's true, this is more of that's that same person's. They're agenda driven. They want to pretend like they have the pulse on it all. I do believe they will merge with Universal, probably. But however, this person thinks that that Discovery is going to stay its own entity and it's just going to sell Warner Brothers to them. No, it's not. It's not going to pass Warner Brothers around. I think they're all going with it. Here's what I'm saying. In the new frame of things, recently Discovery has done well in its reality programming and its streaming. Discovery Plus has done well. It will not be able to exist in the next few years. Mega streaming apps are taking over. Streaming apps are getting bigger. They have more content and more things for people. And those ones that stay small and specialized, like Discovery Plus is already fixing itself. It's becoming Max. It's merging with Warner Brothers. But I'm saying like little ones like AMC Plus or Logo Plus or whatever Plus, Home and Garden Plus, whatever crap they're making, they are not going to be able to stay on. People will look at me and go, I have to pay $6 just for Home and Garden Plus. That makes no sense. When this other app, sure, I pay $15, but I get 30 different companies giving me everything I want from kids' cartoons to Home and Garden to whatever. So this idea that Discovery wants to go it alone, they're not going to go it alone. You can't survive in this day and age going it alone. I think when the day comes, it will be Discovery, Warner Brothers, and Universal in one package. And also, you guys heard about this whole new concept of the fast streaming apps? It's FAST. It's an acronym for something, and I can't tell you what that is. But so here's going to be the concept, and this is what actually RM brought to my attention. RM brought this to my attention. It's if you notice, HBO Max has been removing certain content off of its thing. And that's supposedly to stop payments of residuals and other things to the talent that make things that aren't popular anymore. Let me put it like that. I'm not trying to diss anybody's work. And what they're going to do is now Warner Brothers is probably going to start it off, or whatever company this is, Warner, Discovery, whatever, Universal. They're going to start it off like this. Max is going to be their true flagship streaming app, and Peacock's going to be their fast streaming app. And what they're going to do is they're going to take, when something becomes unpopular, instead of paying full residuals, they're going to put it down there on their other app that has commercials and is just like a rink. It's like Tubi, like a garbage ass app. It's the equivalent of being in syndicated. There are commercials. Like you're going to be able to watch Westworld with commercials. And it's going to lower the amount of money they have to pay the residuals out to people. So now every company will have two streaming apps, one mega one and then one free cheap one with commercials. A rebuke says, "Oh, and AT&T ended my free HBO Max sub. Signs of the end." It's the recession, man, and I hate to end this stream on a horrible note, but the recession is affecting everything. It's affecting Christmas. Have you heard this about Christmas? People are buying less extravagant gifts this year because of everything. The cost of living is rough right now. AT&T and all these other people, they're going to be giving out less free subscriptions to things. It is what it is. It's not the sign of the end. It's a sign of hard times. We took for granted what life was like during the pandemic, when you could just get one streaming app and just go crazy, and you could work from home and life was great. And the hoes were out in the streets, and you're hooking up all day, and you could day drink and still be considered clocked into work. And all those good days are over. We're gonna be working hard now. We're gonna be working hard. Our movie budgets are gonna be lower. We ain't getting movies like Endgame anytime soon. They're gonna be more like the CW. I shit you not. Does anyone have any final thoughts on this whole thing with Henry Cavill? Oh, actually, I have a final thought before we go on. So, word on the street, I don't know if you guys heard this or if this is confirmed, but they're either going to have Sentry or Hyperion in um uh uh um Thunderbolts. They're gonna put a corrupt Superman. Their original concept was they were gonna have Icarus from the Eternals, but people hate him so much that they're like, we're gonna go with another Superman ripoff, right? And so it's gonna be either Sentry or it's gonna be Hyperion. But whoever it is, we get my man Henry Cavill to play him. However it is, it would be great, right? Corrupted Superman, a villainous Superman, like a Superman who went down the life of crime. That would be wonderful. Loki Bear says, I'm still working from home, enjoying my booze at 11 a.m. Oh, that's wonderful. Henry needs to have a talk with Kevin Feige. Absolutely. Not only that, here's what it is. I make jokes about Kevin Feige all the time, but I'm going to be honest with you. In terms of like a class act, I believe Henry Cavill is a class act, but I also believe Kevin Feige is. If you notice, Kevin Feige never fights with people publicly. He keeps all his beef on the side. He doesn't start beef with problems. He doesn't start rumors. He doesn't tweet crazy things. He keeps it on the low. And he's respectful to people too. I hear he's incredibly respectful. And so I think he's a class act too. And I have a feeling that he's not only probably going to look at Henry Cavill for something, I bet he's not going to rub it in his face. I bet he's not going to be like, oh, so you need a job, huh? No, I think that he's going to be like, it's a shame, it's a shame you weren't acknowledged for your contribution over there at Warner Brothers. I promise you that won't happen at Disney. So he could be Hyperion. His chance of being Wonder Man, who I really wanted him to play because he looks just like him, gone, right? But he could be Sentry. He could be Hyperion. I'm kind of hoping it's Sentry because Sentry's like, I like Sentry's like, I don't know if you guys know, Sentry's the crazy Superman, multiple personality disorder and stuff. But another person he can play if he doesn't take that role, I know a lot of people say this all the time, Captain Britain. Captain Britain's a blonde in the comics, but I guess it doesn't matter. But all of these are possibilities. I do kind of want him to play a character who still has the vanilla power set of Superman, just because, like, to reference his Superman years. Rebuke is like, hell yeah. Icarus isn't a bad character. He was just in a bad movie. Yes. But what it is, I think fans will not be happy to see Icarus. Here's what it is. They're going to want to put a character in Thunderbolts that's going to knock people's socks off, and people are going to be like, "Oh my god!" And I think they were hoping Icarus would do that. Icarus isn't going to do that for anyone. People are going to be like, "This dude, Cavill is a nerd like us. He deserves a good role. He does, and he needs to keep going on." YouTuber X really thinks Henry Cavill is hated in Hollywood. That's what this person says. There doesn't seem to be anyone else confirming this. And a lot of people are saying that I'm not I didn't make up this class act thing, but if you just look at the letter he gave his fans on Insta, and he's super respectful to DC. As you know, as a man, as you've seen me be fired and not be nice about it, a lot of people are assholes when they're fired. He doesn't seem to be. So I don't think he is hated. I think here's what it is. I don't think he's hated. I think he's expensive. I remember his original problems with Warner Brothers when they wanted him in cameos. He would charge them an arm and a leg. And they were like, we're not sure if we want to pay this much for a cameo. I don't know what the number was, but I think he just demands a lot. I think that's his issue. Rumors are Ryan Gosling is up for Sentry, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, because Sentry's crazy, I guess anyone could really play him. But like, I like Cavill more than Ryan. I'm just saying. He needs to be Victor Von Doom. Okay, let's talk about this. Do you actually think that he could pull off Victor Von Doom or Mr. Fantastic, theoretically? Look at Henry Cavill. I got him in my background. Do you think he could do it? That's the question. Cavill looks great blonde. Make it happen. Does he? I don't know if I've ever seen him blonde. Lainey has all the different variants. She's put him through an app that like changes his hairstyle, and she's seen everything. You got to pay to play, says Rebuke. Absolutely. It's suspicious how both Cavill and Snyder have been accused of being dicks on sets, but it's all anonymous rumors. Nobody has come out and said the stuff with their name attached to it. Absolutely. That's why I just I don't agree with it. I think there might be some, and so here's what it is. There was a counter rumor, this was years ago, about Henry Cavill, is that they didn't like him because, and this is total hearsay. Don't quote me on this. That he's very strongly conservative. But he's a British person, so it's not like he's a Trump supporter. But he's an alpha male. He came out, remember when he did that video telling men not to be simps? He's like, in the dating world, men he cannot let women push them around. They are in charge. That kind of thing. He's old-fashioned in that sense. And I heard people didn't like him because of that, but that's so minor. Like, that's not a real reason to dislike somebody. Rebuke says Cavill for Doom. Lainey says, no, he's too perfect. Hamish Linkletter needs to be Victor Von Doom. I agree with that. Guys, Hamish Linkletter is the guy who plays the priest / something else in the horror limited series Midnight Mass on Netflix. He's amazing. And I agree with you, RM. He would be great for Victor Von Doom. I say Hamish Linkletter for him, which means we need Cavill for Mr. Fantastic. He'll be the first jacked Mr. Fantastic. You see his role in Mission Impossible? He could be a dope villain. He could totally play a great villain. I think he'd be a great villain. I wonder if he can do an Eastern... whoever plays Doom has to have an Eastern European accent. I cannot deal with another American Doom. I will not stand for it. We need to show the world that Eastern Europeans are all criminals and bad guys by having Victor Von Doom with an Eastern European accent. I have spoken. But if he was Sentry or Hyperion, that would be pretty cool. But any other final thoughts on this, guys? And of course, people want him to play Bond, but we'll see what's going on with that. I think they're usually notoriously bad at picking Bond, so I don't know if they have the foresight to like take a true man's man and make him Bond. But that those are my thoughts. Those are my rants, my passion. The Fat Mantis's passion about Henry Cavill. I'm very upset at James Gunn. For those of you who are on Twitter who actually follow me and don't ignore me like I don't tweet or something, I've been tweeting nonstop mean things about James Gunn. I've been hashtagging fire James Gunn. I know that I said earlier, I think he did it because Zaslav ordered him to, but there is no hashtag fire David Zaslav. So let's get rid of Gunn. Gunn is in charge of DC. He's the problem. He'd be perfect. Yeah, he'd be a perfect Bond. But I've been hashtagging it. I invite you guys, join me on my crusade to get revenge on James Gunn and these other animals who are going to sink the DCEU. It is my belief that getting rid of this cast is gonna haunt them forever. That's my statement. And I'm very pissed off that out of everyone, they got rid of Henry, man. Henry, he left The Witcher for this, and this is just outright disrespectful. So that's my take on it. I hope he joins Marvel. I hope Phase 5 is amazing. I hope his work in Phase 5 is amazing. I think he just goes on and rub it in Gunn's face. And I hope Gunn ends up on the street, a homeless man, sucking dick for coke. There. I said it. I said it, James Gunn. What are you going to do about it? Tweet at me? I dare you to. Make me popular. I dare you. Anyway, but that's Rogue Planet for you guys. Love you. Thank you all for stopping in. It has been so lovely. It's been amazing. Lefty Lucy came in. That was freaking awesome. Of course, AJ the Rebel. We've got everyone from Rogue Radio, Laney, Rebuke, RM. We got Logie Bear. We got Shaolin Iceboxer. We got my man Izzy over here. Who else? Am I forgetting anybody up in this piece? We had Connor Hubbard Good to see you, a green rumor who's found us. It's always good when we find, reconnect with people, right? If I missed your name, sorry about that. But I always have such a good time doing this show. You guys are all so freaking amazing. This is Rogue Planet, ending this bad boy. It's Christmas time. I hope you're embracing all holiday goodness, all the things. I will probably do 2 or 3 more episodes of this madness. Tomorrow night, I want you guys to do me a favor. Come on by my other channel. It's on my horror YouTube channel called Kill Me Like One of Your French Girls. Actually, let me put the link in there. And tomorrow evening, me and Auntie Kat are going to be live streaming on there, and we're going to be reviewing Netflix's Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. Right? And we would love to have you over there. That would be a good time. Very good time. And then Sunday morning, probably just on Twitch. Me and Bomb are going to be streaming at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. Why? Because it is the FIFA World Cup final, France versus Argentina. We're going to be live streaming our reactions. It's going to be a watch along. So you watch on TV, watch with us, hang out. We're going to be chilling, bugging out. It's going to be a good old time. Let me get that link for you. Now drop the mic. Bitch. Bye, Mantis. Bye, Rogue Radio. You guys have a beautiful Thursday night. Thanks for the episode. Stay safe, everyone, and have a good night. Yeah, God bless. Till next time. Ciao for now.